Hi everyone, it's John Mitchell. In today's video, we're going to look at the concept of training and how businesses can actually train employees and some advantages and disadvantages of the different methods of training. So first of all, training is the process of actually improving an employee's skills and knowledge and their abilities, so that they are able to perform their job more effectively and efficiently. So essentially they become better at their job because their skills have improved. So to determine what type of training is actually required, what a business can do is go through what's known as a training needs analysis. And what that does is assesses the actual needs of the business, looks at each job, each individual employee, and see if there's any gaps to determine what kind of training is required, so that therefore that the employee will have the right skills and abilities to actually perform their job at a higher level. Now, some of the benefits of actually implementing training for the employees that they're improving their skills and abilities. So that's a real benefit, and that can lead to improved job satisfaction or even improved motivation, because if they're better at their job and they feel more comfortable in their job, then that can improve that job satisfaction. Also, it can enable them to take on greater responsibility. So if their skills are improving, their knowledge is improving, and therefore they can take on greater responsibility within the organisation in the future, and also improves their self-esteem, because essentially they're becoming better at their job, so they're improving their skills to become better at their job, which can improve self-esteem. Now, there's also benefits for the business, things like improved productivity, improved quality, because again, the employees are able to perform more effectively and efficiently. Also, a great ability to meet business objectives, because if the employees are performing at a higher level, then they're more likely to achieve overall objectives. Reduce staff turnover, because employees are satisfied and motivated within their work, and also can help develop a learning culture where all the employees are learning together, and essentially the business grows because of that, because if the employees are learning within the business will be learning and growing also. Now, in our study design, there are two types of training that we need to know, and the first one is called on-the-job training. So on-the-job training is where the employee actually learns at their place of work, often while performing their normal duties. So training is often conducted by an experienced employee. It doesn't always have to be conducted by an experienced employee. Sometimes some external trainers can be brought into the business to conduct the training, but often it is conducted by an experienced employee. They work with the person that's being trained and help transfer the skills and knowledge that they have to try and improve their abilities, so that again that they can perform their job at a higher level. Now, some of the advantages of on-the-job training is that the employee is able to gain experience on the equipment that they'll be working on daily. So rather than moving away from the business to being trained on different equipment, they're actually learning on the equipment that they'll be using each day, and therefore it can help them become more familiar with that equipment and therefore productive far more quickly. Also, it is normally the most cost-effective form of training, because you don't have to send people externally and pay external trainers necessarily and then replace the person that is being trained. And also the employee can work while being trained. So what that means is that they're able actually to conduct some of the work while being trained, which enables them to perform some of their normal duties while they're actually being trained, which obviously improves productivity. Now, some of the disadvantages is that the quality of the trainer can actually vary, especially if it's done by an experienced employee within the business. So yes, that experienced employee may have the skills and abilities and be able to perform the duties to a really high level, but they may not be an experienced trainer, and therefore it can make it difficult to transfer the skills and experience, or the skills and knowledge, to the employee that's actually being trained. Also, poor habits can be passed on throughout the business, especially that's more than likely, or that can happen if it is an experienced employee that's doing it. So those sort of poor habits can be passed on through the business. And also, if experienced employee is the trainer, then they're unable to perform their normal duties, and therefore their work isn't being done while they are actually performing the training. And also, it's likely to disrupt operations while the training is being conducted. So remember, on-the-job training, there's a possibility that they're actually performing their normal duties, but being trained during that. So even if it's serving customers or anything like that, and they're still being trained, then that's going to slow down production, but it also can harm operations in terms of customer experience if the customer has to deal with the employee being trained during that time. The second form of training is what's called off-the-job training. So this is where the employee actually learns new skills away from the workplace. So no longer are they staying at work or remaining at work and conducting their normal duties. Here they are actually moving away from the workplace to be trained externally. So that can be things like conferences, going through a TAFE course or anything like that in a classroom, simulations, role plays, anything that is taking the employees away from the workplace to actually perform the training. That is off-the-job training. Now, some of the benefits of off-the-job training is that the employees will normally learn from specialists in their field, and therefore those specialists will have vast experiences and vast qualifications and can really help deliver a high-level experience for the employees that are being trained. Also, there's less interruptions from the workplace because while the employee is being trained, they're not being interrupted by doing their normal day work like they would be with on-the-job training. Here, they get to spend the time away from the workplace to actually learn the skills and learn them well. And also it can provide a formally recognised qualification, which is a real benefit for the employee if they want to take on greater responsibility in the future. But like everything, there are some disadvantages also, and these are just some of the disadvantages of off-the-job training. So often it's the most expensive form of training. It's normally more expensive than on-the-job training. Also, the employees may not learn on the exact equipment or in the exact environment in which they would be used to in the workplace, and therefore, you can go away and be trained, but you might be using slightly different equipment when you get back to work, and therefore it can still take some time to get used to that equipment when you get after you've been trained and get back into the normal place of work. Also, employees may use the gained qualification. So if they do receive a qualification, they may use that to leave the business, to take on greater responsibility and leave the business to be promoted somewhere else. And therefore, it's a lost investment from the business that's actually conducted the training. And also, there's lost working time as the employee is away from work. And sometimes they may need to replace that employee. So either there's reduced productivity or that employee needs to be replaced, which obviously increases the cost. So just to recap, training is the process of an employee actually improving their skills and abilities so that they're able to perform their job more effectively and efficiently. And in our study design, we need to know the two types of training, which is on-the-job training where the employee is actually learning at their place of work, and off-the-job training where the employee moves away from the workplace to undertake the training. So just make sure you know the advantages and disadvantages of each of those so that you can handle any kind of evaluate or discuss type question. So for questions, activities, and to find out more about our Unit 4 and exam preparation lectures, then come on over to teachingbubble.com.